The alarm bells rang across the bridge of the Silent Arrow. Captain Daejung Lee stared at his screen with wide eyes. His hands shook slightly as he checked the readings again. He needed to be sure. This couldn't be a mistake. How many ships? He asked his sensor officer. 200, sir. Maybe more. They're big ones, too. Warships. Daejung felt his stomach turn. The Silent Arrow was small and fast. It was built for watching, not fighting. His crew of 30 people couldn't fight 200 warships. Nobody could. But that wasn't what scared him the most. What scared him was where those ships were. They crossed the line, he whispered. They actually crossed it. The line was the Sol exclusion zone. It was a boundary around human space that everyone agreed to follow. For 150 years, no alien ship was supposed to cross that line without permission. The Galactic Council made that rule themselves. Now they were breaking it. Daejung pressed a button on his console. Send a message to Earth, mark it urgent. Tell Admiral Kim that we have a situation. On Earth, in the command center deep under the Rocky Mountains, Admiral Hyunwoo Kim read the message. He read it 3 times. Then he read it again. He wanted to believe it was wrong. He wanted to believe his captain made a mistake. But he knew Daejung. The man was careful. He didn't make mistakes like this. Get me Dr. Park, Hyunwoo said to his assistant. Right now. 10 minutes later, Dr. Ji-won Park walked into the Admiral's office. She was tired. She had been in meetings with alien diplomats for 6 hours straight. They never listened to her. They never listened to any human. But she kept trying because that was her job. We have a problem, Hyunwoo said. He showed her the message. Ji-won's face went pale. The Thalnari? They wouldn't dare. The Council would never allow it. The Thalnari are part of the Council. They're one of the most powerful members. Maybe they think they can do whatever they want. Ji-won grabbed her phone. I'll call the Council right away. This has to be a misunderstanding. But it wasn't a misunderstanding. When Ji-won called the Council headquarters, she spoke to Councillor Vexarath. He was a Thalnari himself. His species looked like tall lizards with purple scales and too many eyes. His voice came through the speaker, cold and amused. Dr. Park, how nice to hear from you. Counselor, we've detected Thalnari ships inside our exclusion zone. This is a violation of... A violation? Vexarath laughed. It was an ugly sound. My dear doctor, the Thalnari Empire is conducting scientific research. We detected valuable minerals on one of your moons. Europa, I believe you call it. We're simply investigating. You need permission for that. You need to ask us first. Ask? Ask you? Vexarath laughed again. Humans are a protected species. Children of the galaxy. Children don't give permission to adults. Adults tell children what they need to know. Ji-won felt anger burning in her chest. We're not children. We're members of the Council. We have rights. You have whatever rights we choose to give you. Now if you'll excuse me, I have important matters to attend to. The call ended. Ji-won sat down heavily. She looked at Admiral Hyunwoo. They don't care. They think we're nothing. Hyunwoo was quiet for a long moment. His face was hard to read. Finally, he spoke. Ji-won, I need to show you something. But first, I need you to understand something. What I'm about to tell you is the most important secret humanity has. Only 20 people in the whole world know about it. He led her down. They took an elevator that went deeper than she knew existed. They walked through tunnels with heavy doors and armed guards. Finally, they entered a room filled with computers and files. Everything was marked with red stamps that said Project Prometheus and Ghost Protocol. What is this? Ji-won asked. This is what we've been doing for the last 80 years, Hyunwoo said. When humanity joined the Galactic Council, they gave us rules. No expanding beyond our solar system. No building big warships. No developing weapons that might threaten the other species. They said it was for everyone's safety. They said we were too young, too dangerous. I know. I've read the treaties. What you don't know is that we never stopped. We smiled and nodded and agreed to their rules. Then we did whatever we wanted in secret. Hyunwoo pulled up a screen. It showed thousands of ships. More ships than Ji-won knew existed. This is the Ghost Fleet, 5,000 warships. All built in secret in the Kuiper Belt, where no Council sensors can reach. All invisible to their technology. Ji-won couldn't speak. She just stared. And that's just the beginning, Hyunwoo continued. He showed her more files. Weapons that could crack planets. AI systems that could hack any alien computer. Stealth technology that made ships completely invisible. We knew this day would come. We knew eventually someone would test us. Someone would think humans were weak and easy to push around. Why didn't you tell anyone? Why keep it secret? Because the moment they know we're strong, everything changes. Right now they think we're helpless. They're not watching us carefully. They're not worried about us. That's an advantage. The best weapon is the one your enemy doesn't know you have. Ji-won looked at all the screens. All the weapons. All the ships. So what happens now? Hyunwoo pulled up another file. This one was marked Protocol Nemesis. Now we wait and see what they do. If they leave on their own, maybe we can still keep the peace. But if they stay, if they think they can just take what they want from He trailed off. What then? Ji-won asked, though she thought she knew the answer. Then we show them what humans are really capable of. Far above Earth, on the moon Europa, Thalnari soldiers were setting up a base. They planted their flag in the ice. They started drilling for minerals. They laughed and joked about the stupid humans who couldn't stop them. Their commander, Fleet Commander Zek Thul, stood on the frozen surface and looked at the stars. He felt proud. His empire was strong. Humans were weak. This would be easy. He had no idea how wrong he was. Back in the command center, Hyunwoo called a meeting. Every important military leader on Earth came. General Tae-hyun Nam arrived from Special Operations. Commander Soo-jin Choi came from the Tactical Division. They all gathered in the secret room. The situation is simple, Hyunwoo told them. The Thalnari have invaded our territory. The council won't help us. They think we're too weak to matter. So we have a choice. We can accept this and let them do whatever they want, or we can fight back. If we fight, they'll send more ships, General Tae-hyun said. The whole council might come against us. I know, Hyunwoo said. That's why we need to be smart. We need to make them understand that attacking humans is a mistake they'll never forget. But we need to do it carefully, Commander Soo-jin spoke up. She was young but brilliant. We should appear weak at first. Let them think they've won. Then hit them hard when they're not expecting it. Exactly, Hyunwoo agreed. He looked around the room at all the faces. Humanity has been preparing for this day since we first met the aliens. They thought they could keep us small and weak forever. They were wrong. Starting now, we show the galaxy who humans really are. He pressed a button. Across human space, hidden bases came alive. Secret factories started working faster. The Ghost Fleet began moving into position. Weapons that had waited in silence for decades powered up and ran system checks. The war hadn't started yet, but it was coming. And when it did, the galaxy would never be the same. President Min Ji-kwon stood before the cameras. The whole world was watching. The whole galaxy was watching. She took a deep breath and began to speak. People of Earth, members of the Galactic Council, I come before you today with a heavy heart. The Thalnari Empire has established a military presence on Europa. They did this without permission, without discussion, without respect for our sovereignty. She paused. After careful consideration, Earth has decided to accept this situation. We will not fight. We will negotiate for a peaceful resolution. The broadcast ended. Across Earth, people were angry. They shouted at their screens. How could their president just give up? How could she let aliens take what they wanted? But in the command center, Hyunwoo smiled. She did perfectly, he said to Commander Soo-jin. You think they believed it? Soo-jin asked. They want to believe it. They think humans are weak. This just confirms what they already think. The truth was different. The truth was that President Min-ji had just lied to the entire galaxy. And she had done it perfectly. 3 days later, Ambassador Yuna Han arrived at the council headquarters. She was new to the position. The council had never heard of her before. She seemed nervous and uncertain. When she spoke to Councillor Vexrath, her voice shook a little. The president has sent me to negotiate terms, Yuna said. We want to find a peaceful solution. Vexrath smiled his terrible smile. Of course. I'm sure we can reach an agreement. Tell me, Ambassador, what is Earth prepared to offer? We can give you mining rights on Europa. In exchange, we ask that you limit your military presence. That's interesting. But I think Earth needs to understand its position better. The Thalnari Empire will take what it needs. You should be grateful we're talking to you at all. Yuna lowered her eyes. I understand, Counselor. I'll bring your message back to Earth. When she left the meeting, Yuna walked to her ship with her head down. She looked defeated. She looked scared. But once she was alone in her private cabin, she pulled out a secure communicator and smiled. Hyunwoo, this is Yuna. It's working perfectly. They think I'm terrified. They think Earth is ready to surrender. How are things on your end? Better than expected, Hyunwoo replied. Our people are in position. General Tae-hyun sends his regards. General Tae-hyun Nam was very busy. For the past 70 years, he had been running a secret program. Humanity had sent thousands of people to live on alien worlds. They pretended to be traders, scientists, artists, and teachers. They learned alien languages. They married aliens. They had children. They became part of alien society. But they never forgot who they really were. They were human intelligence agents. And now it was time for them to wake up. On the planet Thalnara Prime, a human woman named Bo-Ra Lim ran a small restaurant. She had lived there for 20 years. Everyone knew her. Everyone liked her. Nobody suspected that she spent her nights sending encrypted messages back to Earth. Messages about Thalnari military movements. About their weapons. About their plans. On the mining world of Keltor 7, a human man named Woo Jin-an worked as an engineer. He helped maintain the alien machines that processed rare minerals. Nobody knew that he had been slowly installing backdoors in their computer systems. Backdoors that could be activated at any time. Across 47 different worlds, similar scenes played out. Humanity's secret network came alive. They had been waiting for this day. Now they had their orders. Watch, listen, prepare. But that wasn't the only thing happening. In the darkness beyond Neptune, where no alien sensors could reach, the Ghost Fleet was moving. For 80 years, humanity had been building ships in secret. They used automated factories hidden in asteroids. They mined resources from dead worlds far from any space lanes. They worked slowly and carefully. One ship at a time. One weapon at a time. One base at a time. Now they had 5,000 warships. Each one was invisible to alien technology. Each one was more advanced than anything the Council had. Each one was ready for war. Commander Soo-jin stood on the bridge of the flagship Invisible Thunder. She watched as ship after ship decloaked just long enough to confirm their position, then disappeared again. It was beautiful and terrifying. All ships report ready, her tactical officer said. Good. Keep them in position. Don't let any alien sensors detect even a hint of them. If this works, the Thalnari won't know what hit them. Back on Europa, the Thalnari were getting comfortable. They had built a large base. More ships arrived every day. Fleet Commander Zekthul walked through the corridors feeling very satisfied with himself. This is too easy, he told his second officer. The humans just gave up. I thought they might at least try to fight. They know they're outmatched, Commander. It's the smart choice. Smart? Zekthul laughed. It's cowardice. But that's fine. Cowards are easier to control. What Zekthul didn't know was that every single one of his ships was being watched. Captain Daejung's Silent Arrow had been joined by 20 other stealth frigates. They mapped every Thalnari vessel. They tracked every patrol route. They recorded every communication. They noted every weakness and they waited. On Earth, Dr. Young-Soo Shin was working late in his laboratory. He was the head of Project Prometheus. For 40 years, he had been developing weapons that the Galactic Council thought were impossible. Weapons that shouldn't exist. His latest creation sat in front of him. It looked like a small black sphere, but inside that sphere was compressed exotic matter. When released, it could create a gravity well strong enough to trap an entire fleet, or crush them into nothing. How many do we have ready? Hyunwoo asked. He had come to inspect the facility. 217, Young-Soo replied. Each one can affect an area of space the size of Earth's moon. We also have the kinetic planet crackers ready, and the quantum disruption torpedoes, and the nanite swarms. Remind me what those do, Young-Soo smiled. It wasn't a happy smile. They disassemble enemy ships. Molecule by molecule. The process takes about 3 minutes for a standard warship. The crew doesn't even know it's happening until their ship starts falling apart around them. Hyunwoo was quiet for a moment. That's horrible. Yes, but it's effective. And the Council needs to learn that attacking humans has consequences. Far from Earth, Ambassador Yuna was having another meeting with Counselor Vexrath. She appeared even more defeated than before. The President has agreed to your terms, she said quietly. Earth will surrender its military fleet. We'll disarm completely. We just ask that you leave our planets alone. Vexrath couldn't believe his luck. Really? The humans will give up all their weapons? Yes, we have no choice. We can't fight the Council. This is wise, Ambassador. I'll arrange for the ceremony. Your Admiral Kim can surrender his fleet to me personally. It will be broadcast across the galaxy, a lesson to anyone else who thinks about defying the Council. Yuna nodded meekly. As you wish, Counselor. When she left, she immediately contacted Hyunwoo. He took the bait. They're planning a surrender ceremony. Perfect, Hyunwoo said. That's exactly what we need. When? 3 days from now. He wants it done publicly. 3 days. That gives us enough time. Hyunwoo ended the call and looked at Commander Soo-jin. Send the order. All ships move to final attack positions. Ghost Protocol activates in 72 hours. Soo-jin's fingers flew over her console. Across human space, the message went out. The Ghost Fleet began its final approach. Stealth fighters launched from hidden carriers. Automated defense platforms powered up. AI systems ran final checks on their code. Everything was ready. Dr. Ji-won watched all this happening from the command center. She felt torn. Part of her still believed in peace, still believed that diplomacy could work, but another part of her had changed. She had spent years trying to talk to the Council, trying to make them respect humanity. They had laughed at her, dismissed her, treated her like a child. Maybe Hyunwoo was right. Maybe the only language the Council understood was power. Are you okay? Hyunwoo asked her. I don't know, Ji-won admitted. We're about to start a war. A lot of people are going to die. They started this war when they crossed our border. We're just finishing it. Is that really true? Or is that what we tell ourselves to feel better? Hyunwoo didn't have an answer for that. On Thalnara Prime, Bora received her final orders. She looked at them for a long time. Then she closed her restaurant early. She walked to the spaceport. She got on a ship heading for neutral space. She wasn't the only one. Across the galaxy, human agents were evacuating. Getting to safety, the stage was set. The pieces were in position. In 3 days, the galaxy was going to learn something new about humanity, and nothing would ever be the same again. The day of the surrender ceremony arrived. Ships from across the galaxy came to watch. Counselor Vexrath had invited everyone. He wanted the whole galaxy to see humanity bow down. He wanted everyone to remember this moment. Admiral Hyunwoo stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Terra's Pride. It was humanity's largest warship. At least it was the largest one that the Council knew about. Around him, his officers were tense and quiet. They all knew what was about to happen. All ships in position? Hyunwoo asked. Yes, sir, Commander Soo-jin replied. The Ghost Fleet is ready. All weapons are armed. All systems are green. We're just waiting for your order. Good. Let's give them a show they'll never forget. The Terra's Pride approached the Thalnari fleet slowly. Its weapons were powered down. Its shields were off. It looked helpless and defeated. Exactly what Vexrath expected to see. This is Admiral Hyunwoo Kim of Earth. Hyunwoo broadcast on all frequencies. I am here to discuss terms of surrender as requested by the Galactic Council. Vexrath appeared on the screen. He looked very pleased with himself. Admiral Kim, how good of you to come. Are you ready to hand over your fleet? I have a question first, Counselor. Do you know what happens when you corner a dangerous animal? Vexrath frowned. What are you talking about? When you corner a dangerous animal, it doesn't just roll over and die. It fights back. With everything it has? Hyunwoo smiled. You thought humans were weak. You thought we were helpless. You were wrong. He pressed a button on his console. A single word appeared on every screen in the command center. Execute. All around the Thalnari fleet, space itself seemed to tear open. One by one, then in groups, then in massive waves, ships appeared. Thousands of ships. Ships that hadn't been there a second ago. Ships that were completely invisible to Thalnari sensors. The Ghost Fleet had arrived. Fleet Commander Zek Thul stared at his screens in horror. What? What is this? Where did they come from? Unknown, sir. Our sensors didn't detect anything. They just appeared. How many ships? Still counting, sir. At least 4,000. Maybe 5,000. Maybe more. Zek Thul felt his blood run cold. The Thalnari fleet had 200 ships. They were now surrounded by an enemy fleet 25 times their size. Ships that were more advanced than anything he'd ever seen. Raise shields. Power weapons. All ships prepare for combat. But nothing happened. His weapons stayed dark. His shields wouldn't activate. Sir, we have a problem, his technology officer said. His voice was shaking. Our systems are compromised. Something has taken control. We can't access anything. What do you mean, taken control? I mean, we're locked out of our own ship, sir. Someone else is controlling them now. On Earth, Intelligence Officer Sung Ho Baek watched his screens with satisfaction. All Thalnari systems are under our control, Admiral. They can't fire a single shot. How long have we had access to their systems? Dr. Jiwan asked. She was watching from the command center. About 3 weeks, Sung Ho replied. We've had people working on breaking into Thalnari computer systems for 60 years. When their ships entered our space, we activated backdoors in their code that we installed decades ago. They never knew we were there. Back in space, Major Heirin Ko led a squadron of ghost fighters toward the Thalnari fleet. Her ship was small and fast. It could accelerate to speeds that would turn a human body to paste. But her cockpit had special gravity dampening that kept her safe. Alpha Squadron, this is lead, she said into her radio. Remember, we're here to make a point, not to kill. Target their weapons and engines only. No unnecessary casualties. Understood, lead. The ghost fighters moved through space like angry wasps. They were so fast that Thalnari targeting systems couldn't lock onto them. They struck with perfect precision. Laser batteries exploded. Engine pods went dark. Within minutes, half the Thalnari fleet was crippled, and the human fighters hadn't lost a single ship. Report to Earth, Hyunwoo ordered. The ghost fleet has control of the battle space. Thalnari fleet is disabled. No human casualties. No alien casualties yet. President Min-ji received the message. She stood up and walked to the broadcast room. It was time for her second speech. But this one would be very different from the first. People of the galaxy, she began. Her voice was strong and clear now. No more pretending to be weak. For 150 years, humanity has been a member of the Galactic Council. For 150 years, you have treated us as children. You restricted our growth. You limited our territory. You made rules that applied only to us. You told us it was for our own good. She paused. We smiled and nodded. We seemed to accept your rules. But we never stopped being who we are. Humans don't give up. Humans don't stay down. Humans adapt and overcome. While you thought you had us under control, we were preparing, building, learning, waiting. Today, the Thalnari Empire learned what happens when you underestimate humanity. Their fleet is surrounded by forces they never knew existed. Their weapons are useless. Their ships are dead in space. We could destroy them all in minutes. But we won't. Because unlike them, we don't start wars. We finish them. The broadcast went out to every world in the galaxy. Billions of beings watched in shock as President Min-ji revealed the truth about humanity. Dr. Young-soo activated the Prometheus array. All around the Sol system, weapons platforms that had been hidden for decades came online. They formed a ring of destruction that nothing could pass through. Any ship that tried to enter human space without permission would be destroyed instantly. The array is online, Young-soo reported. We're showing a small demonstration now. On every screen in the galaxy, people watched as the Prometheus array targeted a large asteroid. The asteroid was about the size of a small moon. The array fired once. A beam of pure energy hit the asteroid. 3 seconds later, the asteroid simply ceased to exist. It didn't explode. It didn't break apart. It just vanished, converted into energy and gas. Counselor Vexrath saw this and felt true fear for the first time in his life. This isn't possible, he whispered. How did they build all this? How did we not know? Supreme Chancellor Thexnar, the leader of the entire Galactic Council, was asking the same questions. He was a Voldrani, a species that looked like floating jellyfish made of crystal and light. His species had been part of the Council for 10,000 years. In all that time, he had never seen anything like this. Get me President Quan, he ordered, immediately. When Min-ji appeared on his screen, Thexnar spoke carefully. President Quan, I believe there has been a terrible misunderstanding. No misunderstanding, Min-ji said coldly. Your council member invaded our space. We responded. That's very clear. The Thalnari acted without full council approval. We will discipline them. Please withdraw your forces. Withdraw. No, we're not done yet. Captain Daejung received his orders. All stealth frigates begin Phase 2. His ship, the Silent Arrow, jumped to faster than light speed. In seconds, he was light years away from Earth. His target, a Thalnari military base on the edge of their empire. 20 other stealth frigates went to 20 other targets. All of them were Thalnari military installations. All of them were far from Earth. The humans were sending a message. We can strike anywhere. You can't hide from us. The Silent Arrow appeared near the military base. It didn't fire. It didn't attack. It just sat there for 10 seconds, close enough that the base sensors could detect it. Then it jumped away again. Message delivered, Daejong reported. They know we can reach them. All across Thalnari space, the same scene repeated. Human ships appeared near important installations. They stayed just long enough to be detected. Then they left. Each appearance was a promise. We can come back whenever we want. Fleet Commander Zekthol was still trapped in his disabled flagship. He watched as more and more human ships appeared around him. He counted them. 5,000, 6,000, 7,000. They kept coming. How many ships did these humans have? Counselor Vexrath, Zekthol called on the radio. We need to surrender. We can't fight this. We were wrong about them. We were so wrong, but Vexrath wasn't listening. He was staring at reports coming from across his empire. Human ships everywhere, appearing and disappearing. His military was paralyzed. His people were terrified. In one day, the mighty Thalnari Empire had been reduced to helplessness. On Europa, Colonel Jaewon Park led the assault to retake the moon. His soldiers wore advanced combat suits that made them faster and stronger than any Thalnari soldier. They moved through the Thalnari base like ghosts. Remember, Jaewon told his troops, we want prisoners, not bodies. These soldiers were following orders. They're not our enemies. Their leaders are. The battle was over in 2 hours. The Thalnari soldiers couldn't fight back effectively. Their weapons were less advanced. Their tactics were outdated. They had grown soft after centuries of easy victories over weaker species. They had never fought an enemy that could match them. They had definitely never fought humans. Europa is secure, Jaewon reported to Earth. Thalnari forces have surrendered. We have 600 prisoners. Our casualties, 3 wounded, none seriously. Their casualties, 15 wounded, also none seriously. Across the galaxy, other species watched all of this in amazement. The humans had done the impossible. They had stood up to the Council and won. They had revealed technology that shouldn't exist. Supreme Chancellor Thexnar made a decision. He wouldn't let humans embarrass the Galactic Council. He sent out a call to all council members. Within hours, a massive fleet began to assemble. Ships from 12 different species. 2,000 warships, the largest military force the Council had gathered in 300 years. This will show the humans their place, Thexnar told his advisors. They may have surprised the Thalnari, but they cannot stand against the full might of the Council. But others weren't so sure. Ambassador Yuna sat in a council meeting and listened to the alien leaders make their plans. She stayed quiet and kept her face neutral. Inside, she was recording everything. Every plan. Every tactic. Every ship movement. All of it was being sent back to Earth in real time. You're making a mistake, she said finally. You should negotiate, not attack. Negotiate? One of the council members laughed. With humans? They're the ones who should be begging for mercy. Are they? Yuna asked quietly. Because from where I'm sitting, they're the ones who disabled an entire Thalnari fleet without losing a single ship. They're the ones with technology you can't detect. They're the ones who can strike anywhere in your territory whenever they want. So who exactly has the weak position here? The room went quiet. Nobody had an answer for that. The council fleet moved toward the Sol system. It took them 3 days to get into position. Admiral Hyunwoo watched them come. He didn't seem worried. 2,000 ships, Commander Sujin said. That's 10 times what the Thalnari brought. And we have 7,000 ships now, Hyunwoo replied. Plus the Prometheus array, plus home field advantage, plus better technology. He smiled. I almost feel bad for them. Almost. President Minji sent one last message to the council. This is your final warning. Turn back now or face the consequences. We don't want to destroy you, but we will if we have to. Thexnar didn't respond. He thought silence was a power move. He thought it would make humans nervous. He was wrong. They're not turning back, Hyunwoo said. Activate the array. The Prometheus array powered up to full capacity. The council fleet was still outside the Sol system, but they could see the energy readings. Dr. Young-soo had designed the array to be visible when fully active. He wanted them to see it. He wanted them to understand what they were facing. That's not possible. One of the council fleet commanders said, energy readings are off the scale. One weapon system shouldn't be able to generate that much power. It's not one weapon, his sensor officer replied. It's thousands of them. All linked together. All focused on this spot in space. The Council fleet stopped moving forward. They were still outside the array's range, but not by much. If they continued, they would enter the killing zone. "We need to test their defenses," Thexanar ordered. "Send in the first wave." 200 ships broke off from the main fleet. They moved toward the Sol system, slowly at first, then faster. They were prepared for human resistance. They were prepared for a fight. They weren't prepared for what actually happened. The moment they crossed into the Prometheus array's range, the attack began. But it wasn't the array that fired. Instead, space filled with small objects. Millions of them. "They looked like black dust. What is that?" a Council ship captain asked. Then the dust reached his ship, and he understood. Too late. The nanite swarms that Dr. Youngsu had created began their work. They attached to the Council ships and started disassembling them. Piece by piece, atom by atom. The ships didn't explode. They just started falling apart. Hull plates drifted away. Internal systems stopped working. Weapons went offline. The crews had 3 minutes to evacuate before their ships were completely destroyed. Most of them made it to escape pods. But their warships were gone. All 200 of them. Reduced to floating scrap metal in less than 5 minutes. Fall back. The order came from Thexanar. "All ships fall back immediately." The Council fleet retreated to a safe distance. They had lost 200 ships without firing a single shot. Worse, they had lost them in a way that was terrifying. The humans had weapons that could destroy ships without explosions or battles. Just patient, invisible death. How do we fight that? One of the Council admirals asked. Nobody had an answer. Major Hayrin led another fighter attack. This time her target was the Council command ships. The ships where all the important leaders were. She didn't attack to destroy. She attacked to send a message. Her squadron flew through the Council fleet like they owned the space. They dodged and weaved through defensive fire with ease. They targeted communication arrays and sensor pods. Within an hour, half the Council command ships couldn't communicate with their fleet. They couldn't coordinate. They couldn't give orders effectively. "Targets eliminated," Hayrin reported. "No enemy casualties. Returning to base." "Well done, Major," Hyunwoo replied. But then something happened that nobody expected. A group of Council ships broke formation and charged toward Earth. Not the main fleet. Just 30 ships. They weren't trying to invade. They were trying to die taking humans with them. "Kamikaze attack," Sujin shouted. "They're going to ram the orbital stations." Earth had millions of people living in space stations around the planet. If those ships hit, thousands would die. "Maybe more. Intercept them," Hyunwoo ordered. "All ships, emergency speed." The Ghost Fleet moved to intercept, but the kamikaze ships had a head start. They were going to get through. Some of them would hit the stations. Commander Sujin made a decision. "Tactical team, execute emergency protocol 7. Now she knew what that meant. Her entire tactical division was stationed on one of the orbital platforms in the path of the enemy ships. Protocol 7 meant using that platform's weapons to stop the attack. But the platform's weapons were old. They would overheat and explode after firing. Everyone on the platform would die, including her entire division. Including her friends, but thousands of civilians would live. "Do it," Sujin said quietly. The platform's weapons fired at maximum power. They created a wall of energy between Earth and the attacking ships. Most of the kamikaze ships were destroyed. A few got through, but the Ghost Fleet destroyed them before they could hit anything important. The platform's weapons overheated exactly as predicted. The explosion was visible from Earth. 237 people died. All military personnel, all volunteers who knew the risks of their job. Sujin watched the explosion on her screen. She didn't cry, not yet. There would be time for that later. Right now she had a war to fight. "They're going to pay for that," she said. Her voice was cold as ice. General Taehyun was watching all of this from Earth. He saw the kamikaze attack. He saw good people die. He made his own decision. "Activate the deep strike teams," he ordered. "Target every Council military headquarters. I want our people in position within the hour." All across the galaxy, human special operations teams moved into action. They had been waiting in place for years. Some of them were combat units. Others were saboteurs. All of them were highly trained and highly motivated. On the Council homeworlds, humans began to make their presence known. They didn't attack civilians. They didn't destroy cities. But military bases started having problems. Computer systems crashed. Weapons malfunctioned. Supply shipments went missing. Communications got scrambled. The Council realized that humans weren't just in the Sol system. They were everywhere. They had infiltrated everything. For decades, they had been preparing for this war, and now they were showing what they could do. How many agents do they have? Thexnar demanded. Unknown, sir. They could have thousands. They could have tens of thousands. We're finding them on nearly every Council world. Intelligence Officer Sung Ho sat in his office on Earth and smiled. 47 worlds. 6,000 active agents. Another 12,000 sleeper agents ready to activate if needed. The Council has no idea how deep we go. The battle continued for 3 more days. The Council fleet tried different tactics. They tried mass assaults. They tried sneaky approaches. They tried long-range bombardment. Nothing worked. The Ghost fleet was too fast. The Prometheus array was too powerful. Human technology was too advanced. By the end of the 3rd day, the Council fleet had lost 60% of its ships. The humans had lost only 37 ships. And most of those losses came from the kamikaze attack. It wasn't a battle anymore. It was a massacre. And the Council was losing. Thexnar finally accepted reality. Send a message to Earth, we want to negotiate. President Minji received the message. She looked at Admiral Hyunwoo. What do you think? I think we've made our point. Now let's see if they're willing to give us what we want. And if they're not? Hyunwoo was quiet for a moment. Then he said, then we keep fighting until they are. The Council fleet retreated to a neutral zone. They licked their wounds and tried to understand what had happened. A species they had thought was weak and primitive had just defeated the combined might of the Galactic Council. On Earth, people celebrated. They danced in the streets. They cheered for their military. They felt proud to be human, but in the command center the mood was more subdued. Hyunwoo looked at the casualty reports. 237 dead from the orbital platform. 37 ships lost with all hands. Over 1,000 wounded. We won, Commander Soo-jin said. But she didn't sound happy. Yes, Hyunwoo agreed. But victory has a price. Supreme Chancellor Thexnar had never visited Earth before. In 10,000 years of Council history, no Supreme Chancellor had ever set foot on human soil. The humans had always come to the Council. Now the Council was coming to them. His ship landed in Geneva, where Earth's unified government was headquartered. When he stepped out, he saw thousands of humans watching. Some held signs. Some cheered. Some were silent. All of them were sending a message. We're not afraid of you anymore. President Minji met him at the landing pad. She wore a simple business suit. No fancy robes, no ceremonial dress. She looked like someone ready to work, not to play games. Chancellor Thexnar. Welcome to Earth, President Kwon. Thexnar's voice was stiff. This was hard for him. Coming here, asking for peace. He was used to others begging him. I hope we can find a peaceful resolution to this unfortunate situation. Unfortunate situation? Minji's expression didn't change. Is that what you call invading our territory? Killing our people? The Thalnari acted without full Council authorization. But the Council defended them. You sent 2,000 ships to attack us. Don't pretend this was just the Thalnari. Thexnar had no response to that. It was true. The Council had chosen this path. Now they had to face the consequences. The negotiations took place in a large conference room. On one side sat the Council representatives, 12 species all looking uncomfortable. On the other side sat the human delegation. President Minji, Admiral Hyunwoo, Ambassador Yuna, Dr. Jiwon, and General Taehyun. Let's begin, Minji said. We have demands. You can accept them or you can go home and we continue the war. Your choice. One of the Council members, a Keltorian named Sevnor, spoke up. You cannot dictate terms to the Council. You lost, General Taehyun interrupted. You attacked us. We destroyed your fleet. You have no leverage here, so sit down and listen. Sevner opened his mouth to argue, then closed it again. He sat down. Ambassador Yuna pulled up a document on the main screen. Here are our terms. First, the Sol exclusion zone is removed immediately. Humanity is no longer restricted to this solar system. We can expand wherever we want, just like any other Council species. That's reasonable, Thexnar said carefully. Second, humanity gets full voting rights in the Council. No more protected species status. We're full members with equal authority. Also acceptable. Third, all technology restrictions on humanity are removed. We get access to the same star charts, scientific data, and technical information as everyone else. We can agree to that. Fourth, the Thalnari Empire pays reparations for the invasion. The amount will be significant. Councillor Vexarath, who had been silent until now, stood up angrily. The Thalnari will never— Sit down, Admiral Hyunwoo said quietly. Or I'll show everyone here the footage of your ships trying to ram our civilian stations. Let's see how the galaxy feels about that. Vexarath sat down. His scales had turned a darker purple. He was furious but helpless. Fifth, Yuna continued, the Council issues a formal apology for 150 years of treating humanity as inferior. This time several Council members objected. Thexnar held up a hand for silence. An apology? Very well, what else? Finally, humanity gets to establish embassies on every Council world. And every Council species can establish embassies on Earth if they wish. Real diplomatic relations, not the fake ones we've had until now. Thexnar looked at his fellow Council members. They nodded reluctantly. What choice did they have? The humans had proven they could destroy any Council fleet sent against them, and their agents were already embedded on every Council world. Fighting would only lead to more losses. We accept your terms, Thexnar said. All of them. Good, Minji said. Now let's talk about the future. Over the next 3 days, the details were worked out. The Thalnari would pay reparations equal to 10 years of their military budget. The Council would publish new star charts showing humanity's expanded territory. Embassies would open within 6 months, but something else happened during those 3 days. Something unexpected. Several species approached the humans privately, species that had also been treated as inferior by the older Council members, species that had watched humanity's victory and felt hope for the first time in centuries. We want to join you, said Ambassador Kirvan, representing a species called the Novari. Not fight you, join you. Form an alliance. Dr. Jiwan met with them. An alliance for what purpose? Change. The Council has been run by the same old species for thousands of years. They're stuck in the past. They don't innovate. They don't adapt. They keep everyone else down so they can stay on top. But you humans showed that things can be different. We want to be part of that. By the end of the negotiations, 7 species had approached humanity about forming an alliance. Not a military alliance. A partnership for progress and innovation. A group of younger civilizations ready to move the galaxy forward. The Council didn't like it, but they couldn't stop it. The rules they themselves had written allowed for such alliances. 5 years passed. The galaxy changed in ways nobody had expected. Humanity expanded rapidly. Within 3 years, they had colonies on 50 different worlds. Their ships traveled freely throughout the galaxy. Their technology spread to allied species who used it to improve their own civilizations. The Ghost Fleet remained active, always watching, always ready. The Prometheus array stayed online, a constant reminder of humanity's power. But humans didn't use their weapons anymore. They didn't need to. Everyone remembered what happened to the Thalnari fleet. Admiral Hyunwoo retired from active duty. He was named Supreme Defense Coordinator, overseeing all of humanity's military forces. But his job now was about prevention, not war. He met with other species, built relationships, and made sure everyone understood that attacking humans was a bad idea. Commander, Sujin took his place as Admiral of the Terra Defense Fleet. She never forgot the 237 people who died under her command. Their names were engraved on a memorial wall in the command center. She visited it every morning before starting work. Dr. Ji-Wan became Earth's Chief Council Ambassador. She was good at her job. The species who had once dismissed her now listened carefully to everything she said. Respect based on fear wasn't ideal, but it was better than being ignored. General Tae-hyun continued running special operations. But his agents were no longer preparing for war. They were building bridges, learning about alien cultures, and helping humanity understand the galaxy better. Captain Daijong got his wish. He commanded humanity's first deep space exploration fleet, traveling beyond Council space to discover new worlds. His ship, still named the Silent Arrow, led expeditions to places no one had ever seen. Major Hei-Rin became the most famous fighter pilot in human history, but she retired from combat flying to teach the next generation. She trained young pilots not just in tactics and technology, but in responsibility and restraint. Power without wisdom was dangerous. Dr. Young-soo continued his research. But now he worked with alien scientists, sharing knowledge and learning from them. His weapons remained locked in secure facilities, ready if needed but never wanted. President Min-ji won re-election twice. She served 12 years total before retiring. History would remember her as the leader who secured humanity's place in the galaxy. But she remembered herself as someone who had to make terrible choices and lived with the weight of those decisions. Ambassador Yuna became famous as the woman who tricked the council. She gave lectures about diplomacy and deception, about knowing when to appear weak and when to show strength. Young diplomats from many species studied her methods. Intelligence officer Sung-ho remained in the shadows. Most people never knew his name, but he continued to run humanity's intelligence network, always watching for threats, always gathering information. Peace required constant vigilance. Colonel Jae-won trained allied species in ground combat techniques. He helped other civilizations build better armies, not to attack others, but to defend themselves. The galaxy became more balanced as power spread more evenly. The Galactic Council itself changed. The old species who had dominated for millennia found themselves forced to share power. New ideas were heard. Innovation was encouraged. Progress happened faster in 5 years than it had in the previous 1,000. Not everyone was happy. The Thalnari Empire never forgave humanity for their humiliation. Councillor Vexrath spent his remaining years plotting revenge. But he was old and his influence was fading. By the time he died, a new generation of Thalnari had grown up knowing humans as equals. The old hatreds were dying with the old generation. Supreme Chancellor Thexnar surprised everyone by becoming one of humanity's strongest supporters. He had learned something important during the war. The galaxy needed change. It needed new perspectives. It needed species who weren't afraid to challenge old assumptions. "You humans taught me something," he told President Min-ji during one of their meetings. "You taught me that power isn't about how long you've held it. It's about what you do with it. We had power for 10,000 years, but we became lazy, comfortable, weak in our own way. You forced us to remember that the universe doesn't care about tradition. It only cares about strength and adaptation." On Earth, life returned to normal. Mostly. People still went to work and school. They still fell in love and had families.